So moving on, we are now going to have a corporate presentation on the subject AI agents with knowledge graph, moving beyond summarization to automation. Our speaker for the presentation is Mr. Subodh Nair, Head, Enterprise Sales India, DevRev. Let's have a big round of applause, everyone, and let's welcome Mr. Subodh Nair on the stage.
In fact, I want to echo what Mr. Vikram Berry had said, right? Thank you for staying awake. Hi, my name is Subodh. I'm part of the sales team with DevRev. I've been here for over a year now, coming with 20 years of experience. Worked with Amazon Web Services, been in the media industry, been an entrepreneur, been a software engineer as well. So I just come with some multiple different exercises. I'll give you a background about what DevRev is, right? So DevRev is founded by these two gentlemen named 𝐃𝐞𝐥𝐻 Pandey and Manoj Agarwal. And 𝐃𝐞𝐥𝐻 Pandey was the ex-founder of Nutanix. And just for you, those who don't know about Nutanix, 2016 when Nutanix went IPO, that was the largest tech IPO in the world, right? And after it went IPO, 𝐃𝐿 took an executive position. And in 2020, he decided to move on from Nutanix and co-founded along with Manoj, who was then the head of product and engineering in Nutanix, to start DevRev. And while in Nutanix, Vinod Khosla from Khosla Ventures, many of you would know him, was an early investor, and he was also an early investor in OpenAI. So he facilitated a meeting between 𝐃𝐿 Pandey and Sam Altman, and that's when the whole concept of conversational AI we had envisioned back then itself. So DevRev is an AI native platform founded in October 2020, invested again by Vinod Khosla, and already a unicorn over here. And so what is the major thing that has happened in this world is that earlier when you had to interact with the computer, we had to know the language of the computer, right? So either you have to script on HTML, Java, Python, or any of these things. So there were 50 million odd people who can leverage computer to do their tasks. But what has happened in the world is that now there is a role reversal which has happened. Now computer has started understanding our language, which is English. What it changed is that now from 50 million, now there are over 1 billion people who can actually leverage computer to start making many automations and other things. So this is something we've been seeing for the past 12, 18 months, right? There's no work that we believe that AI can't do, or at least we have to prove that AI can't do before we actually lean on to any humans to do it, right? And this is also pretty much in the news that there's tons and tons of money that is being poured into AI. We talk about $500 billion in Stargate, some 200 billion euros that European Union is putting in. And where is this money all going in, right? This money is all going into largely into the frontier models. You talk about OpenAI, Anthropic, or any of these things. And what it has done to the world is that it has kind of commoditized the entire, the LLMs. So what the LLM used to cost, something like of 1 million tokens, some $50, and has significantly come down to something like 12 cents, which is 99.7%. No other technology in the world has seen this kind of a subsidization or discounting in over just 12 to 18 months, right? So what has this subsidization done? This has led to the mass adoption of AI. Now, ChatGPT, we all know, right? And it's nothing, right? I mean, we don't even think about twice, right, before using ChatGPTs. All these things, what you're seeing, we could have done it earlier also. You write something on the Google, you get 10 links, and somebody will sit half a day or 1 day, and can just summarize the whole thing. But what this AI has done is that this has made this task much more easier. Now, this has become the used to thing that everybody wants, in their enterprises as well, right? But how do I use this inside my enterprise? What if I ask this question to your enterprise data? Say, what is the latest update from Patrick on the Acme opportunity? What do you think the ChatGPT is going to say? It's going to say that I don't know. ChatGPT is not wrong, right? It doesn't know, because the reason is that the entire data is residing in your multiple data sources, like your SaaS applications and your data sources, etc., etc. Now, in order to get this kind of a data, maybe like Patrick can do it, and he has to traverse all these people, maybe set up meetings and everything, right? Maybe go across, and probably then can get that kind of a level of information that we are looking at. Now this is a viral LinkedIn post that has come, right? I'm just going to read through it. You get a message in Slack with a link to Confluence doc to prep for a meeting on Zoom, where you take notes in Notion and track project progress on monday.com, and then update the Trello, and you get to the end of the week, and instead of doing anything, you just moved bits of information around in 17 different databases, and each costing everything. Now, this might be a bit exaggerated, but if you look deep within, we're all going through this thing. We are using tons of applications just to get one thing done. You might be using Gmail to communicate. You might be using Zoom to have that meeting, and then you go and update it somewhere else. So how are we rethinking the entire thing? So there was an article from Nandan Nilekani in Indian Express, and it said that companies need to organize data for AI transformation. But what he also said is that it's going to take 10 to 20 years, but we believe that this is happening much more faster. And one prominent thing which we came across is most companies are likely to have structured or unstructured data from disparate sources that exist in silos, and firms have to organize this for AI to take a proper leverage on it, right? Now we're talking about structured and unstructured data. We have seen a lot of things on unstructured data, which is your Excel sheets, your Google Drives, your documents and everything. It's easy. But think about your structured data, which is sitting on 2 or 3 databases, right? How do you get data out of these 3 databases, correlate with it, with this unstructured data, and make some meaning out of it? This is where DevRev is thinking differently. We call it team intelligence. So what are we doing differently over here, right? So at a very high architecture level, right, what we do is that this is a representation of all your data sources, your SaaS applications, and your databases, etc. The first thing that we do is that we have a patented technology called AirDrop. The technology is patented, not the name. We bring the entire data to DevRev, right? This is a problem that we have solved, continues to solve like for the past 5 years. Now the company is only 5 years old, but if you look at the world of AI, probably we are one of the most experienced ones over here, right? Then we can just skip this one. This is how like AirDrop does it, right? But what do we do after bringing in this data, right? We build something called knowledge graph. Now in the AI world of AI, knowledge graph is a very, very abused word, right? We all think that somehow we just get all the data, use some kind of a graph database, and magically everything is going to happen. It's not that simple. It's hard. What we do here is that we fundamentally believe that every organization has 2 key areas. One is your product, and second is your customer, right? And we bucketize all your information related to these 2 areas only. Your product, which represents your development, and your customer, which represents your revenue. So if you look at the company name DevRev, it's a proxy for Dev, which is for development, and Rev, which is for revenue, which represents your customer. So this knowledge graph, we also call it business ontology graph. This has business context, your business context, using your data, right? And this is a problem we have been solving. We have poured hundreds of millions of dollars just to solve this problem. The entire European team is dedicated just to keep on making this better, right? And on top of this knowledge graph, we give you 3 foundational services. Again, this is an extension of the architecture we are talking about. That is workflows, search, and analytics. When we talk about workflows, right, there's age-old workflows, things like deterministic workflows, right? So it's more like if do this, else do that, right? This is like happening for a very long time. But what AI has done is that now you can bring in probabilistic workflows. An example of probabilistic workflow would be that, let's say you get a customer support ticket, right? What is the first thing your support agent does with the ticket, right? They look at the ticket, they understand what is the problem statement, and they try to see that what should be the priority of this ticket. Should it be P0, P1, P2, or P3? Now you give this ticket to, let's say, 10 of your support agents. And trust me, these 10 support agents might just come out with some 6 different answers. Somebody will say, no, this has to be P0, but this has to be P1, or somebody even say that this has P3, right? But think about it, like you bring your best support agent and who always gets it right, and ask that person, like, how do you go about prioritizing a ticket, right? That person is going to tell you that, okay, I look at is it coming from a strategic customer, or does it have a wider organizational impact, and so on and so forth. Today, using AI, you can actually codify all these things, right? And when you codify, you're replicating your best person across your organization. You're getting a very structured format for across all your tickets, right? So that's your workflows, and this becomes the fundamental basics of building an AI agent, which I'll cover in some time. Then you have something called search, and we're talking about search which is conversational in nature, right? So this search you can deploy internally or externally. Something like internally, for example, your support agents wants to ask question internally to this knowledge graph, say asking that, I've got this ticket, how do I solve it? They get a very conversational answer to that. Externally, it can be an AI chatbot, right, which not just responds to your L1 unstructured FAQ kind of queries on unstructured data, but also it brings in the context of the structured data as well, right, and then starts responding to your L1 queries and to quite an extent, L2 queries as well. Then comes the analytics, right? So obviously, since we have all this data with us, you can build a lot of real-time dashboards. You can build analytics on top of it, right? I mean, something like what is my top kind of issues which is coming in, right? How many of my customers are in green or how many are in red, where I can take an immediate action. And these are the analytics dashboards which you can drill down to the 3 levels, right? Now, when you do your search and when you do analytics, what do you get? You get some kind of insights out of it. And when you get insights, you want to take some action. How do you take that action? You'll call up let's say you found a ticket which was marked as priority 1, P1, but you believe that this is P0. Now you'll go and call up your head of support saying that, can you just mark it as P0? So you go out of the complete system and go to your primary instance and then try to update it over here. But in DevRev, what we give you is that a CRUDL operation, which we all call it as create, update, delete, and list, those kind of operations, right? In which, you can just take action over here itself, and your entire action will go and update on the primary instance. And this is where we do a two-way sync. So when we talked about AirDrop, this was not just taking in data, it can take actions on your primary instance as well, right? So this is the architecture level. Now, and on top of it comes the business value, right? So we give you some apps, native apps, and some AI agents. Applications are like, in case, you can have our support CRM to use. You can use our product engineering collaboration, something like similar to Jira that you can use. You can use it for lead management as well. And then you can use our AI chat solution, and you can use something like session insights. What does a session insights do? They go and record your user journey, right? So they actually starts collating the entire user journey and starts giving you out-of-the-box insights. You can build custom insights on top of it. In fact, like when your customer is reporting an issue, what is the first thing the support agent says? That, can you send me a screenshot? I mean, why do we have to ask that question when you have that session recorded over here and you can reproduce that issue then and there? But these are the applications that work in tandem along with each other. And this is where the beauty of the DevRev comes, that everything, all your data, so in every organization, we believe that there are 3 major areas. One is your product development, second is your sales, and third is support. And 3 things are sitting in 3 different systems, and unfortunately, none of them talks to each other. And then there are loose connectors around it. All the collaboration is happening in Slacks or of the world and everything. In DevRev, you can do the entire thing in one single platform, right? But here we are going to talk more about AI agents, which can actually coexist with your existing systems, right? And can give you all this power. Now, how does this AI agent work? And we go back to the old question that we asked, right? What is the latest update from Patrick on the Acme opportunity? Now that I have knowledge graph, your data, so it will give answers something like this. Next slide. Right? Now it started thinking, it is actually going through your entire data set, and finally it's going to give you an answer in a very conversational style, something like this. So, sorry, can we go to the previous slide? Yeah. So if you look at the 4 pointers over here, the first 2 is taken from your sales CRM, right? Which stage is it? What is the opportunity value? The third one is taking you from your Outlook or your Google Meets of the world. How many times Patrick has had meetings with this particular customer? But the fourth one is coming from your support CRM. right? In your support CRM, you see that as a chief revenue officer, probably you are seeing that, okay, this opportunity is blocked because there is a ticket which is there. And now the CRO wants to, take an action on that ticket, and it goes and says that update the ticket severity to blocker. And as I mentioned about the two-way sync, it can actually go back and update the whole thing in your primary instance, whatever your support CRM is, right? Next slide. So how does this AI agent work? Now, let me give you a simple example, right? So this is how a broad AI agent would look like in DevRev. Now, it has different sections, right? So the top section, if you look at it, that is the brain of the AI agent, right? Here you tell the AI agent, who are you, what can you do, and what you cannot do, right? So in this case, we have said that this is an account executive agent, right? Which has been given a task of doing something, and it has been asked, you are not exposed to the internet. Then we said, previous slide, sorry, this clicker is not working, right? Yeah. And then I've told this AI agent that you can take your data only from this data sources, right? Now, if I take out the entire knowledge base from here and expose it to internet, this is ChatGPT for me. But then what I've done is that I have told it not to go to internet and restrict your information only to this knowledge base, which is your data. Then we have given it some skills, and we'll just deep dive on the skills part as well. We have given it some skills to like create ticket, update ticket, and generate tickets from RFP. I'll take a pause here, go back. So, yeah. So we'll do a deep dive on generate ticket from an RFP. So what is this going to do before I show it to you is that, so this is a one workflow which we discussed about. So as soon as an opportunity, now this is an art of the possible, right? As soon as an opportunity is triggered on your sales CRM, it's going to go and look up that opportunity. We'll check that does it require an RFP. If yes, it will run a deterministic workflow and go and fetch that RFP from that data source. And then after fetching that RFP, it will read through the document and it will answer wherever it understands. Wherever it's finding ambiguity or cannot answer, it will send an email or create a ticket for a human to take a look at it. Next slide. So this is how the workflow looks like. So if you look at it, there's a trigger which has happened, which is basically an opportunity created. It will go and fetch the opportunity. It will execute a code. This is deterministic. It's going and fetching the RFP from a particular data source, which can be an S3 or whatever, right? Then you look at this reading the RFP. This is all prompted in plain English, right? So the underlying LLMs can actually understand, what this RFP is. It can start answering this query, and then wherever it doesn't understand, it will go and create the ticket, right? So this is how your AI agent would look like. Now, where are the applications of this AI agent? Now, it can be for an external support agent. We talked about the AI chat, right? So, so your AI chat conversationally not only just answers all the frequently asked questions, documentations on unstructured data. That's easy. The hard part is how do I take meaningful things from your unstructured data, from your databases, and start doing it? How can I respond to your L2 queries? How can I automate those things as well? This is not about human cost, right? This is about elevating your customer's experience. Why does your customer has to wait for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours when the same thing can be done in few seconds, right? Or it can be used to augment your existing support agents, right? So your support agents can go and ask this question conversationally, help me to resolve so and so ticket. And it will go back to those knowledge base where every data we have correlated for you and starts giving you responses, giving you direction where it has to go from, right? Or it can be like a on-call agent, right? So whenever there's an issue which happens, you can create an agent around it and then say that, whenever the issue happens, take a certain set of action, notify certain set of people, right? So you don't have to have an engineer or a product manager waking up 24/7 looking for an alert kind of a thing, right? So coming back to this knowledge graph, right? So we keep saying, right? So this is a single source, which differentiates everything. You keep on hearing about agentic AI every now and then. This has become the flavor of the town. But what makes this different is the accuracy of these agentic models, right? And why are we so good about it is because of this knowledge graph, right? Because it is actually going and bringing data from your data sources, which has been already correlated and made sense around this thing. And we also talk about, there were always also conversations around here agents replacing humans, but we don't think in that way. We believe that teams are going to exist with agents along with your customer data. Now, I want to give some other examples, just to intrigue your mind over here. One of the large airline industries, they came to us and they said, there are situations where, you book your flight tickets, the transaction happens, but then PNR doesn't get, it doesn't get through. You don't get the PNR. Now, that's very heart-sinking feeling, right? What happened to my money? Then what do? You pick up that phone, call up the airline and say that, what happened over here? Then there is a human support agent who is just talking about and trying to resolve that issue. They have completely automated this entire thing. So out of the 100,000 conversations, some 2,000 odd conversations are coming from this one. The AI agent is able to pick that, call up that AI agent, and actually able to execute the entire workflow for it. So what have you done for the end user, right? So you think about it like, if the ticket is not booked, the PNR is not generated, he needs to know then and there, because every five minutes the flight ticket rates are going up. So it's a very time-sensitive thing that we are looking at, right? So this is not about the cost, this is about being time-sensitive, elevating your customer's experience. We are there in 7 geographical areas, headquartered in Palo Alto, all the way to Argentina. In India, we have 3 offices in Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai. And we are hosted on AWS, right? So we are in Mumbai region as well. So all the data residency laws, has been taken care of. And just to, conclude this presentation, right? Yeah, so a lot of security things we have done. Right, a lot of these compliances, we can always walk you through. So some of the large banks, large fintechs, they're already working with us, right? We always talk about, our regulators being one of the stringent regulators of the world. So we have passed through the entire InfoSec with them, right? Next slide. So some of the compliances that we have, and we continue to build on top of it. Right? So having said that, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So you have to create your agent, right, for your journey. And that's how I conclude the presentation, this thing, right? So thank you very much. In case there are any questions, I'm always out there. Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. May I request you to kindly stay with us on the stage. And I would like to request Ms. Sumitra Patnaik from OLX India to kindly come forward and please felicitate him. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights with us. Let's have a huge round of applause, everyone.